Property Graduate is proudly sponsored by Surtax Accounting.
Property Graduate is the show for aspiring property developers and investors to win a life-changing opportunity that money can't buy. The prize is twofold: forming a property company with renowned property guru John Howard and owning 50% of the shares. John is one of the most experienced property developers and investors in the UK today. With almost 4 decades experience in the industry, he's been there and done that, having purchased and sold around 4,000 homes, apartments and developments. This savvy businessman is putting £1 million of his own money into the new company so the winner can buy and develop a property. With a 50% stake in it, they'll automatically receive a 50% share of the profit and potentially have John as a business partner for life. You're watching Property Graduate. In the last episode, Geeta, Elise, Molly, Felicia and Vic had to complete a property deal appraisal within an hour in the challenge, and they were then grilled by Fiona, Kirsty and expert accountant Z Razak. In tonight's episode, it's Martin, Victoria and Andreas' turn to face the panel, and at the end of this episode, the panel and John will choose their final 3 contestants for next week's series finale, The Deal. How are you finding it? Are you feeling stressed?
No, I'm trying to be really calm. I'm one of those geeks who likes exams, but I haven't analysed a deal like this before. I've done similar style, but not this one. So I'm trying to just not overthink it and just kind of deep breathing and just try and keep my adrenaline calm.
And you've got a time pressure as well to factor in.
Yeah, 60 minutes. So I think it's doable. If they can do it in 15 minutes, we can do it in an hour. So I'm confident, but then I'm also like, oh, what am I doing? So I don't know. I'll see what their feedback is, how I've done.
Are you good with numbers?
Usually, yeah. Usually it's not something that I feel overwhelmed by. Usually it's not something that I struggle with. I'm quite detail orientated as a person. But yeah, in this kind of scenario, when it's a completely unexpected deal and it's with everyone else around you going, oh my God, I'm kind of trying not to let all of their energy be absorbed by me. So I have no idea. I feel confident in what I've done, but until they say yes or no, I'll just take the learnings from it when they say that's completely wrong. So
let's hope it's not going to be that.
Let's hope, but we'll see. If I can learn, then that's a win in itself, isn't it? So.
Good luck with it.
Thank you.
How are you finding it in there? Do you feel stressed?
A little bit. I mean, I'm definitely, I would say, out of my comfort zone. I'm quite confident analysing deals and stuff, but certainly not to this kind of scale. You know, my expertise is more in smaller deals. And then it's also out of area for me. You know, it's very different to the northern market, which I'm used to. So, you know, it's a bit weird when you're sat looking at, you know, London prices where everything's 5 times as expensive and it all seems a bit crazy. So, but I think it's going okay so far.
Are you good at appraising deals relatively quickly, or do you like to have a little bit more time?
I would say normally I'm quite quick at it. Again, I think just with it being outside of area and, you know, a different scale of property, so to speak, it's definitely taken me a bit longer, you know, having to look into all of that. But normally I'm very quick, yeah.
They've got an accountant on the panel this time who's going to grill you on the numbers. Mm-hmm. Do you think you're ready for that?
I think I got to trust my research. You know, I got to trust that the process for this is the same as it would be on a smaller deal, and I'm just got to trust in my numbers and see how it goes.
You good with numbers?
Yeah, I like to think so, yeah.
Martin, it's very pressured in there. People are anxious. How are you feeling?
Fine. Just want to get the numbers right.
Yeah, that's really important. Are you good with numbers?
It's not something I do on a daily basis. I'm in development. I've been mainly selling buy-to-lets HMOs, but it's something I can definitely learn.
When it comes to appraising deals, are you quite quick or do you like to take your time?
You need to find the sweet spot, basically. You need to do it fast, but accurate as well.
And how do you feel about going in front of the panel? Because there's an accountant this time also involved. What do you think about that?
I think I will be okay.
You seem very calm.
Trying to be, yeah.
All right, well, good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So Victoria, how did you feel about this deal that you were given?
So I felt calm until I saw one bit which completely threw me, which I haven't seen before. So I tried to ignore that and deal with that bit at the end. And I just tried to stick to what I thought was right and how I would normally do it. And then you've probably seen it, and then deal with that bit at the end. So yeah.
So you had 60 minutes to analyse it. Was that enough time?
For this, I'm going to say yes, but I'll wait to hear your feedback before you tell me no. I probably could have used another hour. I felt like I wasn't rushed at the end. I did have it finished, and then I had a couple of minutes just to check back over it and check that the kind of supplementary notes that I gave you was neat and stuff like that. So I feel like I did do it within the time. Whether it was correct by your standards in that time, I'm not sure. You have to tell me.
Yeah. Well, I feel like your maths teacher, because your sums aren't adding up on this sheet, in the summary sheet. I can't see where you've got your total costs plus finance costs. Your number is not correct. So did you have access to a calculator or something like that?
I did, yeah. That's obviously something that I would have to double check again and again and have other sets of eyes on. I think I was focused on each number individually and probably didn't do like a double check at the end,
Right,
which is a faux pas on my part.
So question on the suggested purchase price.
Yeah.
You said 510k. Can you just explain to me that the way of thinking, how you came up with that number, please?
Yeah, so I did it based on kind of the GDV minus all the costs and then kind of fiddled around with the purchase price at the end. So I looked at the square foot, the size, because on the pack it told me the size of everything that I was going to have. I went on Rightmove and I looked at 1-bed flats and then 2-bed flats. I took 3 comps. So an error or like a kind of a risk of this is that my comps possibly weren't the strongest. And if I'd had more time, I could have looked more direct comps. I couldn't find within a quarter mile or a half a mile comps that looked exactly the same where it was industrial turned into. So I just used the closest ones I could. There was one Muse and a couple of others. And I basically took 3 comps and worked out the price per square foot, sale price of those to get an average price per square foot of what's sold, and then applied that to this one to get what I thought was the GDV. From the GDV, I then subtracted all my costs, including like estate agent and corp tax, and from that ended up with my net profit.
The 510.
Yeah.
Suggested.
No, sorry, not
purchase
the
price.
yeah.
So in the context of what you just said there about it being difficult to find the comparables and the context that you looked at around the property, is conversion to ready what you would do for this deal?
Probably not. Having looked at it I looked at it on Google Maps. I did the assessment exactly what was in the pack.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that is the right thing to do it, because when you look at the road in Finsbury Park, it's all shops and very kind of like retail-y. So I'm not sure this would, one of the threats, I think, or one of the like considerations at the end is who's actually going to buy it. I think people are going to be a bit unsure about living in a converted warehouse, and it doesn't really fit the mood of the street. So I think it might have been better to be chopped up into retail, maybe with some storage space, or like maybe like a 1-bed flat above it for somebody who's going to take the ground floor. So if this was a real life situation, I would look at alternatives. But for this case, I didn't want to go off down like a rabbit warren and do something completely different. I thought you wanted to see how I would work it out if this was what was going to be done. But no, I wouldn't.
And also going back to you looking at the Google Maps, so there was something else that stood out really on this to do with access. You touched on that, and that stood out when I looked at it. What was that access issue?
It's super, super busy. There's nowhere for a skip. There's nowhere for like lorries of supplies. There was like when you look at it, there's like a bright red double-decker bus. Not that the colour is relevant, sorry, but like a massive bus. It's super, super busy. So the reality of doing a huge conversion, you'd have to get permits, you have to close a street. If, you know, when you're trying to put in like meter feeds, if that was needed and stuff like that. I'm just not sure how realistic it would be to do something like this.
Also, it doesn't go directly onto a public road. So you're going to need some kind of deed of easement, aren't you, with the council or whoever owns that road.
Yeah.
Or at least clarify one's in place, because otherwise you could have, you know, people buying the units that you create that can't actually access the units legally. And that's quite a lengthy legal process as well.
Yeah, and then all the costs would build up while you're waiting for that. And
The timing, it's saying, you said 2 years. Can you just sort of explain how you come up with 2 years, please?
last week, John said, I do all my projects in 2 years, a year to build, a year to sell. There was literally no further thought than that, I'm afraid.
It's fair enough. It's a good answer. As long as it's based on something.
Yeah.
And I think, going back to that, you probably wouldn't do this as a resi conversion. You'd actually look at keeping it commercial. Why didn't you list that as a possible exit strategy?
Oversight, I probably should have, because I thought it in my head, but I think I was just fixed on the risks of this particular project as it was.
Yeah. Okay.
Keeping in the lines of
and then the other exit strategies that you did come up with, if you were doing this as a conversion to resi, talk us through those. Have you got them in front of you there?
No, but I remember what I put. So I said you could sell them all, keep them all and just refinance it, kind of split it, sell some, keep some. I think they're all a bit weak, but there's a lot of variables on that as well. Like if it's already converted, is somebody actually going to buy all 4 as a chunk? They would only convert it back probably. So I think what we would need them to buy it for would far exceed what they would buy it for, knowing they were going to have to do all the work. So I don't think that would work. I think splitting it, holding some, buying some, if we wanted to go down this route and keep it as is, that would possibly work, because at least we would get some cash flow and then we could sell a few. I think it would be better to not go ahead with it as is. But yeah, that's the variety of stuff that you could do. I would also see if somebody wanted to take it kind of almost like trade it, like flip it. So
Or get planning and flip
take it before we'd actually done anything and just kind of get a bit of profit on paper before we actually had to do anything.
Yeah, so planning uplift. Yeah.
Looking at your summary, is there any cost that you think you missed on the summary?
Warranty, there wasn't a line for warranties. If we were going to make it, I'd probably do about 1% for that.
Did you include marketing? Because I can't actually see marketing costs.
No, I actually
Nothing.
missed that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't written it, but I've calculated estate agent fees at 1.5% on the cost, but I didn't write it. But yeah,
okay.
I put 3,000 for furnishing, but then not actually the cost of the adverts and stuff like that. I'm going to assume that the estate agent's going to do that and take that from their 1.5%.
Yeah,
that was included.
So if you were successful in getting through to the next round, or even winning and becoming the property graduate 2023, is this the kind of deal that you would look to find and bring to John?
Yeah, not in Finsbury Park, not in central London, but yeah, this exact kind of thing where there's lots of potential, lots of things that we could do and decent profit in it. And yeah, I think something like this would be where I want to go next.
Looking at this, and obviously Fiona's said about alternatives and things like this, but what is the one thing that you feel could make a big difference to this deal and get John to be all excited about, because you know how he's like?
Probably not doing the work, probably doing the planning uplift. I know building costs at the minute are spiralling. He probably wouldn't want to get involved with that right now. The central London thing, I know that's probably not ideal on his agenda, but there would be potential here for something and find the right buyer. I think I would say scrap that. Let's go something really cool, like planning wise, and make money that way.
So to clarify, location quite important in that conversation.
For the plans for this, if I could pick this up and put this somewhere else, I'd say let's go with it as is. But where it is right now, I'm not sure it matches. Yeah.
Had you considered muse houses rather than flats?
Not on what they wrote, because it was clearly outlined that it was 3 1-bed and 1 2-bed. But when I was looking at the comps, there was a really beautiful muse house there. So there obviously is opportunity for that in that area. I don't know off the top of my head the typical size of a muse house or how many would fit in. I'd want to get an architect involved in that. So I didn't bring that into this example. But yeah, if we decide to go down the resi route, I think something doing a bit nicer might give it a bit more like appeal, given that it would be shoved between a kebab shop and a hairdresser, at least if it was a bit kind of historical-esque-ish, industrial in style, it might sell a bit better for a higher price.
Thank you, Victoria.
Apologies about my maths.
Hi Andreas, are you ready for us now?
Yes,
Perfect.
yes, I'm ready.
Thank you, obviously, for putting the stuff together. Got a few questions we're going to go through.
Yeah.
My question straight off the bat is, how did you find the deal summary sheet?
I think it was okay. Yeah, it was largely a deal I'm definitely out of my comfort zone with, but no, I think it was all right. I had to look up a lot of extra information online just from outside the summary sheet. So I think the main thing I took away from the summary sheet was, or the main thing I was interested in was the size, because I can work with the numbers, I can kind of see what's there, and less so with the area. I know it's an affluent area, but I focus sort of less on that and more on just the numbers on this one.
So a £5 million GDV is definitely a big white whale for you.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's like I was saying, someone else, it's, you know, you're working with 2 beds in Leeds that are 125 to 150,000 pounds, you know, and here there's obviously a massive swing of like you're playing with millions of pounds. So it's very different.
So obviously John works across the UK, and the winner of the Property Graduate 2023 will be expected to source and analyse deals across the UK. Are you comfortable in doing that?
Yeah, I think, you know, obviously there were a little bit of time pressure on here. I think I realised some mistakes I made as well, but I think overall, you know, I'm fairly confident with the process overall, and I think it doesn't really matter where in the country you are, you know, what types of deals you're looking at. If you know your fundamentals with you know, your costs and you know, working with the end in mind, so to speak, then I think, you know, it can kind of be applied across any strategy, any area really.
Yeah.
You know, so
so talk us through how you've arrived at that GDV.
So I think the GDV I put on here, I'm not happy with that actually, because I say straight off the bat, I know I made a bit of a rookie mistake, which is the one I looked at here in Richmond, which was the bank with the 3 flats above. And I kind of dived straight into the numbers and then almost forgot to look a little bit at the building. And it's like there was a basement there, which was about 150 square meters. But one, it's straight on street level. So, you know, getting windows there for bedrooms is probably going to be next to impossible. Plus, it's been a bank before. So the use case of that basement is probably quite difficult.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, the initial GDV I put on here was with the basement in mind, but then pretty much as soon as I've written that, time myself, and then I kind of saw, well, actually I need to chop that out. So, you know, my actual GDV on this would probably be closer to like 3,450,000.
So is your proposal for this to convert fully to residential under Class MA?
Yes, it would be, yeah,
Okay.
It would be. I mean, there were some shops on the street as well. So, you know, that would obviously be a possibility to look at, like keeping the commercial aspect in the ground floor.
Yeah.
It wasn't something I looked at because, you know, straight away when I looked at comparables, there were lots of 1 and 2 bed comparables sold in the area. So it's something straight away where I saw there's got to be some money there, you know, if you convert the entire thing.
I mean, it looks like it's in a parade of shops. Do you think it lends itself to being a flat on the ground floor in that particular location?
I think it'd be okay. I mean, it's close to a station. Something I kind of wrote on here as well, I believe, was, you know, potential exit strategy as well would be using some of them for serviced accommodation, you know, which something I didn't look too much into, but again, I had a quick look and the occupancy rate in the area, for example, is very high.
So sorry, you're going to use you were suggesting you're going to use Class MA to do the conversion.
Class MA, yeah, to do the conversion.
But you can't do that to C1, can you? That's only to C3.
Yeah.
So
if
you're going to do it to SA, it would be a planning application.
Yeah, it would be. It was kind of like it wasn't one I really delved too much into. You know, I put it down as like a potential. Like I said, I have had a very, very brief look into that as well, just to see if there was a viability there for an additional exit strategy. But I kind of stuck with, you know, they seem to work as, you know, the residential side of it. There seems to be lots of supporting evidence to suggest that, you know, you can definitely sell 1 and 2 beds in that area.
Have you checked whether PD is permissible in this area? Have you checked Article 4 in Richmond? Did you do any research on that?
Yeah, I did not on Article 4 in particular. I saw there was a planning application in to make alterations to the existing 3-bed into a 1-bed and 2-bed. But that was withdrawn again, and then there were some suggestions to add a little bit more space essentially, and keep the commercial aspect there, which is about as much as I saw.
So, what is your full proposal for this? How many residential units are you proposing that you get out of it? Yeah,
so there's obviously the existing element, which is we've got a 3-bed there already, and we got 2 2-beds in essence, but the one of the 2 beds I noticed doesn't actually have a living room. So it's just 2 rooms essentially. So with that in mind, I kind of counted that as a 1-bed rather than a 2-bed. So totally, to kind of sum up the GDV there, I came to at the lower figure without the basement. I would have in total 2 1-beds, 4 2-beds, and then the 3-bed. The 3-bed, I did look at, whether you could split it up, but again, I saw the existing planning that was withdrawn to actually split it, plus the size was quite small. So I just don't think you would meet the minimum size requirements if you split that one. So I kind of thought it's probably best to keep that as a 3-bed, even though it's a little bit harder to find comparables for that one.
Okay, and your build cost, £100 a square foot, is that realistic?
Yeah, so in hindsight, I would probably say 120. Again, I'm a little bit more used to cheaper build cost up north.
Yeah,
so
Richmond,
yeah,
you know.
that's kind of like, again, in hindsight, it's a very affluent area. I get that, there's some very, obviously with something like this, you'd want to do it to a very, very nice spec given the area as well. So yeah, in hindsight, I would probably have said like 120 to 125 per square foot.
Looking at the numbers, obviously they're all revised subject to the new plan compared to this. But you never, even in the original plan, you didn't put down the profit necessarily and the percentage GDV on cost or even on GDV. And also you haven't mentioned how long the project's going to be. Have you got an idea how long it will take? Yeah,
so I would expect, again, subject to planning, subject to surveys and any structural issues that might come up, I would say probably at least like 12 months on the build. The other thing is the 2 of the flats upstairs are still occupied. So one has a 6-month contract on it, the other one has a 12 months. So, but you could obviously split the work almost in 2. So you could start downstairs with the conversion there, do the works there while the tenants are still in, serve notice as needed, and then sort of move upstairs and do the rest of the work. But yeah, I would probably say like minimum 12 weeks to be sort of conservative on that.
Looking obviously at the project, obviously the numbers have changed quite a lot on this.
For sure.
How do you feel you make it attractive for someone like John to win the property graduate or get to the next round? How would you make a difference? Because obviously you've got a different plan now. Yeah. But how will you position it? Yeah, I think, obviously with this sort of being something that's pretty out of my comfort zone, but nevertheless it's something where, I also believe I can sit down, I can look at things in hindsight and say, this is where I went wrong, so I think I'm very technical in that sense, where I can kind of sit down and be critical about the numbers I come up with and say, actually, that doesn't work. And therefore we need to revise this, and this is what the new numbers look like. And I think it's something when you're doing stuff like this, or anything in property for that matter, you have to kind of be flexible in your approach, and on your costing and everything as well, to think a little bit on the fly. But being flexible, but you need to be able to think on your feet. Yeah. And that's one of the things, when I'm looking at this, we haven't got details, whichever plan it is, we haven't got details on all your costs that you're going to incur, stamp duty, land tax, professional fees, marketing. Yeah. Do you feel that's thinking on the feet? Yeah, again, it's stuff I would certainly, I've got everything in my notes basically in terms of the cost, and obviously it's not reflected here, but I always try to be very thorough with it. When I'm analysing deals now, when I first started in property, it would take me, hours to analyse it, but now it's like I'm confident I can look at something online roughly within that 50 minutes to half an hour, I can sort of analyse it. And I think it's also with something like this, it's a bigger scale. There's more here. Obviously, it's outside my comfort zone, but I think given time as well, I can definitely bring down the time of that as well and be more confident in the numbers and how long it actually takes me to come up with this as well, and also in greater detail for that matter.
I was just going to say, it's also important to understand what kind of surveys you would need. You've missed a asbestos survey and you've got a structural survey architect and stuff like that. Yeah. But, this is all the things we learn as we get on in this business. Yeah, exactly. And, you seem to have been somewhat methodical. I think a lack of knowledge in this kind of deals let you down a little bit. But how much do you want to be the property graduate 2023?
I think, honestly, having had very little exposure to this, like I said, I think this was a really, really great challenge, so with that in mind, I've always wanted to look more at stuff like this. I've had a plan ever since I started in property to say that, I want to get in there, I want to build stuff, I want to convert stuff. you know, I'm originally from Denmark, and something I mentioned on my application originally as well is I want to try and bring some of that Scandinavian build quality to the UK. So, you know, that's always been sort of like a plan of mine to get to that. And I just came across this obviously, and I think working with John, you know, who's been in the industry for so long, I think we just an amazing opportunity to facilitate that goal basically.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, well
Good
done
luck.
for giving it a go.
Thank you.
Andreas.
Thank you.
Hi, Martin.
Hiya.
So how did you find analysing this deal?
Difficult, to be honest with you. It's not something I do on regular basis. I mainly analyze single buy-to-lets, HMOs, and this kind of property investments.
Okay.
But I came to some numbers in the end.
So it was outside the comfort zone.
It was definitely out of comfort zone.
And what
100%.
happened on page 2? All the questions, they didn't get completed.
No, I spent way too much time on comparables, looking at all the numbers, and then got caught up by time, unfortunately.
Hi, Martin. No, I like the
Same.
numbers, right? So I'm just looking at this, and yeah, we probably need to just speak a little bit more through. What was your profit on cost percentage? Because currently I've not got a number.
Yeah, 30.5%, which is coming to 638,597.
That's the profit
Yes.
to 60. So you made £2.1 million worth of costs, including the purchase, all in.
Yes, correct.
How have you come to that number, so I can just sort of understand it?
Yeah, so I worked out JDV 2,757,300, and that's based on some comparables: 1 beds 210k and 2 beds 280k.
Okay, so that's the sales side.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just going to go a bit on the cost side, if that's okay. So in your costs, because I've only got like £1.2 million worth of sort of costs here that I'm looking at. So I just want to understand how you got to
I've
those.
got build cost 848,400, which is based on £120 per square feet build cost. Contingency 10%, which is 84,840. Stamp duty 32,000. I've got professional fees down for.
Sorry to interrupt. Where's
Yep.
stamp duty? It's not written on here.
No,
is
he's
it?
just telling us
Okay.
the number. Yeah.
Oh, okay. In case I missed it, apologies.
No, it's not there, definitely. Professional fees I've got down for 106,000. That's based on 12.5%. Finance fees 169,840. That's 10%, and I've got 1% sales.
Sorry, finance cost,
Yep.
168,000 you said?
169,000.
Yeah, but down on the front sheet you've got finance costs of 111,000. Where did the other,
No,
where's the rest of the money?
that's a wrong number.
Okay. So the
Wrong
sheet
number.
that was
Yes.
the actual analysis
Yeah.
is wrong?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Do you think that it was quite important to get the summary because it's
Yep.
all your hard work done? And do you feel that you've given it enough time to get all your cost stacking up so you can then
Not in the room, only afterwards when I took a deep breath and I looked at the numbers, and this is what I came to.
You have so you filled in some of the gaps for us there.
Yeah.
The biggest gap is what would be your suggested purchase price for this property?
I came to figure 850,000. I would probably offer 825, but 850 is based on 30% return on cost.
Okay.
That makes me very confused though, because your GDV is 2.7 and your total costs are 1.2. So that puts a residual price at about 1.5. What have we lost?
I may be guessing here. It seems like you may have missed when you add in your costs up to get to the profit and cost, because you said 2.1 million, didn't you? Was your cost number?
1,268,000, purchase price 850, profit 638,597.
If you bought this with John and developed it out, what do you think the timescale would be for the project?
18 months.
Yeah, I would
How-
say that's realistic.
How are you basing the 18 months?
Just based on some of the deals I've heard in past that other people did, basically.
How long would you take to renovate or build? And then how long would you take to sell?
8 to 12 months, I would say, in my opinion.
And talk to us about what the exit strategies might be. So you complete the project, or you buy this and then consider doing the project. What different exit strategies are available?
It could be potentially service accommodation.
Service accommodation? Where is it? What makes you come to that conclusion?
It's a very good question. I don't have any analysis of the map.
Were you aware there was a sheet where you had to exit
Yes.
risks? You didn't have time to do that?
Did you go on booking.com or something like that to see if it's a popular area for this type of thing?
No, I didn't.
So this is definitely out of your usual...
It is 100%,
Yeah.
100%.
So this
I'm not
isn't
gonna lie, you know, I'm not here to pretend.
And this isn't the
that
sort of
this
deal
is-
that you would want to bring to John to do as a joint venture if you were the winner of...
Potentially, yes, but I would definitely have to spend more time on analyzing this. And I believe if this was my bread and butter, it would be much easier for me to work out all the costs and everything, you know. Same as with buy-to-lets. By now, I've sold over 200 properties. So that's my bread and butter. This is something I've not done before.
Yeah.
I'm not a developer, but I can definitely learn 100%.
So why should we put you through to the final round of Property Graduate?
I've got good network of people in my property network. I'm a reliable person. I'm someone that if something goes wrong, I will be first there to sort it out. And it happened to me many times before.
You mentioned buy-to-lets is your forte. What do you do to add value?
So in some cases it was a dormer. In some cases it was adding or splitting a big bedroom into additional bedrooms. So making from 2-bed terrace to 3-bed terrace, getting the most out of the rent. My main area is mainly Manchester. The most deals I sold was in Manchester, some of them Liverpool, mainly Northwest basically. And it was always for my clients basically. So the reason why I applied is to go to the next level and do something for myself basically.
What kind of deal do you think you would like to do with John first?
I would definitely want to do similar type of deal, maybe a little bit smaller than 12 flats, but definitely some flat conversion. 5 to 6 flats. There is money in these deals, 100%.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, Martin. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Like the soup.
Thank you.
Kirsty, who would your 3 be?
Oh, you're starting with me. Okay, Alice.
Yep.
Oh, I see. Now it's quite hard, actually.
Welcome to my world.
Vic.
Well, that's interesting, Vic. Yeah, we've got him a bit, haven't we? Yep. One other?
Oh, and I'm between 2 now, and that's really difficult.
Make your mind up.
Molly.
Molly. Okay. Interesting. And Fiona?
So my final 3 are all ladies. Makes a change to
It does
previous
make
seasons.
a change, yeah, absolutely.
Alice, definitely. I would say I want to see the deal that this lady would bring.
Yeah.
And it would be between Molly and Victoria.
Well, make your mind
I
up.
was between Molly and Victoria as well.
Make your mind up.
I would say Victoria.
Okay, that's very interesting. Okay. All right, that gives us some food for thought. Z, what are you going to say?
I think full house on Elise. I agree with Kirsty on Vic. I think he was so knowledgeable on the stuff. And the other one is a really tricky one for me because I've listened to the guys a lot and they've really given a different perspective for me. It's definitely, for me, out of the 2 ladies on the bottom 2, because and it's a tricky one. But to be honest, I think what Kirsty mentioned about Molly has been because she was very organised and how she can work with you. And I think from that perspective, I think Molly will be a good safe pair of hands and something that she would be patient and work with you. Whereas I think Victoria, very knowledgeable, and it's just whether the challenge.
So you're potentially saying Molly.
Yeah, I think those 3.
The one thing I've got to also obviously think about is, you know, can I work with them? Now I can work with anybody, to be honest with you, as you know. I even work with you, Fiona. So come on, you know, I can work with anyone. I can work with anyone on the show. I can work with anyone. However, you know, there is a case of you know, when you're doing it on for the whole year and obviously much further. I want to be their partner for the 5-10 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's got to be taken into account a little bit as well. Well, look, thank you all very much. I'm going to have a cup of tea. I'm going to sit down and have a quiet think about it. I might agree with you all. I might not. Who knows? We'll see shortly.
We'll see.
Martin, the best dressed man in London today, probably, to be fair. How do you think it went today?
Didn't go well, in my opinion. With the numbers, big challenge. It was challenge, as it says.
Well, that you know, we want to push you out your comfort zone. Obviously.
That's where the growth is.
Yeah. Okay. I think for me, this year's come a bit too soon for you. So I'm not going to put you through to the last 3, but I really like you to come back next year, because I think with a bit more experience on the more commercial deals, I think we all felt that, then I think you'll be a serious candidate. So thank you so much for coming. I hope it's been interesting and that you've learned something from the process, and please keep in touch, and we hope to see you next year, and good luck with your deals this following year.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. How do you think it went today?
I think probably I could have done better, but I have given everything I could. This was the first commercial deal I have ever analyzed, so I tried to absorb as much information before coming here today as much as I could, and then try to reflect it back on the sheet.
Well, what I would say is, unlike some of the others, you did your research. You know, the website is there to help people, and you obviously researched what you might come up against, if you like, and you dealt with it, and you dealt with it very well. So I'm delighted to say you're in the 3.
Thank you so much.
Next time, so you're in the top 3. So well done, congratulations.
Thank you so much, appreciate it.
We'll see you next time. Remember, you've got to bring a deal.
Yes, I am looking.
Well done.
Thank
see
you so
then.
much. Thank you,
Well done,
appreciate it.
Alice.
Congratulations.
Well Thank you.
Felicia, how did you think it went today?
Mixed. I'm sort of kicking myself. Why did I forget the stamp duty? So a few things I didn't picked up. I was just focused on the purchase price, and a few things that Fiona pointed out to me. Like,
Yeah, I think pressure. You know, pressure is always an interesting how people cope with pressure, and I think 1 hour is plenty of time to do what we asked you to do.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think you showed your best side today. I think you're actually better than what you showed. I'm sure you would agree with that as well.
Yeah.
And it's been a difficult decision, but I've decided not to put you through to the last 3 on this occasion. But thank you very much for coming. I hope you've enjoyed the experience.
Yep, for sure.
And please do keep in touch, because I'm sure there's things that, you know, going forward, please contact me if you want to, and all the rest of it, because
Thank
I
you.
think we can help each other probably.
Thank you very much.
So
It's
well
been-
done.
Yeah, thank you.
Andreas, you've come a long way today.
I have,
I hope you've enjoyed the experience.
definitely.
What do you think about what happened today in here?
I think I was pushed out of my comfort zone, and it's been a really good experience to try. And yeah, hopefully something I can get to do a lot more in the future as well. I think you know, it was certainly something I've been wanting to try for a while, and it was this was.
Well, first of all, I'm very glad you came. I was excited about you after the first round, and the second round's all about pressure and also being pushed out your comfort zone, clearly. And I think, unfortunately, today, it wasn't your best day. I think you'd probably agree with that as well.
Yeah.
But I think you've got great potential, and I really think that I can't put you through to the last 3. I can't do that, unfortunately. I wanted to, but I can't. But I do think if you come back next year with some bit more experience, then I'm sure you will be very competitive in this show.
Yeah.
So I really want you to go away, gain more experience, and please apply again, because I think you'll be ready by then.
Yeah, I
All
certainly will.
And
Thank you
please
very much.
keep in touch with all of us. We'd be delighted to keep
Yeah.
in touch with you.
I'd love to. Yeah.
And thank you very much for coming, and
Thank
have
you.
a good trip home.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity.
Not at all. I wasn't sure about you after the first round, to be honest with you. I wasn't sure at all. But Z, Fiona and Kirsty felt you did well in this round. How did you feel you did?
Okay.
And you know, you've got a bit more experience than some others, and I think also the deal that we gave you was in your comfort zone. Of course, it's all random, so you could have got a more difficult deal, and we have to take that into account, don't we? I mean, at the end of the day, you were more in your comfort zone than a lot of the others. So we've taken that into account, and I'm afraid it's not good news. You're going to have to come back because you're in the top 3. Well
Thank
done.
you.
Bring a deal, the best deal you can find, and if it's not service accommodation, I won't be disappointed. All right?
It won't be service accommodation.
See you next time.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Vic, you had an awful lot to say for yourself in the first round, didn't you?
Did I?
You did. Partly because you're very experienced and you know, you're a successful entrepreneur anyway, if you get my meaning. I understand that. Second round, interestingly, you were a bit quieter the second round,
Yeah.
weren't you?
I was.
Were you outside your comfort zone at all?
No, not at all. I just a little bit unhappy with my, more than a little bit unhappy with my performance.
Were you?
Yes.
That's very interesting. Very interesting indeed. And very frustrating for me, because after the first round, I don't like to make decisions after the first round, but after the first round, I really did have you down as someone who I thought would definitely be in the final. I think we all perhaps felt that. But unfortunately, your performance today was not good. So I cannot put you through, I'm afraid, to the final 3 on this occasion, but thank you very much for coming. I do want you to keep in touch with me, please. And you know, let's see if there's any deals that you do come across that may be of interest to me.
Okay.
All right.
Fantastic. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Cheers.
Geeta, you've had a long day. You're pretty experienced property investor, so you've had a bit more, I think, of an advantage over one or two of the others maybe. Did you find the deal you were given put you out of your comfort zone, or did you find it quite easy to analyse?
It was okay to analyze. There was other thing was there. As I said, there wasn't anything which I wasn't missing anything. If I had made a mistake, then there's nothing to. There's no fallback.
It's obviously a very difficult decision for me. You've certainly got some fans here, that's for sure. And I've mulled it over and I mulled it over my mind. And it's been very, very difficult decision for me because it's so, it's so difficult and so close. But unfortunately on this occasion, I'm gonna have to let you go and not put you through to the last 3.
Yes.
But let me tell you, it's mighty close, mighty, mighty close. And thank you so much for coming.
Sure.
And please
thank
do
you.
keep in touch.
Yeah, sure,
And hopefully
definitely.
you've enjoyed the process and gained something from it. So
Yeah, a lot
thank
of
you very
learning.
much.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
coming. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Victoria, you remind me of an estate agent.
And you like estate agents because you own estate agents?
Well, I do. Your first round was full of energy and optimism because every day, remember, with an estate agent, when they wake up in the morning, they open the curtains, it's always a sunny day. And I like that. But it has to have some, sensibility to it and some cautiousness with it. And my worry with you is that you won't be cautious enough. That would be my worry. Now, I might be totally wrong there, totally wrong. How do you think you did this last round?
I feel like I was cautious.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
good. Did she still have a smile on her face and was very
She did.
Very
Yeah.
good. Very
I
good.
was smiling, but I was also trying to show you that I can be calm too. Because
Yes.
you don't want a ball of energy all the time.
No,
So I was trying to show you that I can be serious.
It does get tiring after a little while. I would agree with
Mm-hmm.
that. Okay, so you think you did okay. Do you think you should go through?
I think I should go through, yeah.
Why do you think you should go through?
Because I think I have loads to show you and I think we would work really well together.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to make money and I want to make money. And do you think I should go through?
Well, I wasn't sure, to be honest with you. And Z was very complimentary about you. And Kirsty was, and Fiona was. And I've had to take that into account. And you're up against some good candidates.
Yeah.
You know, it's not easy. Not easy at all. But you need to find yourself a deal because you're in the top 3.
Yes!
So
thank
do
you,
not
John.
let
Thank
me
you,
down.
guys. I won't. Well, I'll try my best.
Do not let me down. Find a great deal and bring it, and let's see what we can do.
And make sure it adds up.
Make sure it adds
Yes.
up.
Yeah, do your
I'll
maths.
double check. Oh my God, you guys, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Yes, amazing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to the Lake District next week, so I might look for a deal up there. Do you
I
like
don't-
Cumbria?
I don't mind where it is in the country.
Thank you so
even
much,
Scotland's
thank you.
all right. So
There
the
we
job
have
is
it.
3/4 done.
There we are.
3/4 done.
Yes.
What do you think? Do you think we've got 3 good candidates for the final?
Yeah, I'm excited about how that's going to go. I think they're
3
Yes.
ladies this year.
3
3
women, no
ladies.
less.
Eh? I don't think the men perform well enough, to be honest
well.
with you.
I
go
have to
through.
agree. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why they haven't gone through.
That's why they haven't gone through. No one can, you know. I've got an estate agency with 41 ladies who work there and 4 men. So no one can ever accuse me of being sexist, can they? So, and I've proved it again today, haven't I? With your help. So 3 great candidates. They are different. Very different. But I don't think that's a bad thing either, do you?
No.
Let's see how they perform because we've been here before, haven't we, Fiona? We've got 3 great candidates in the final and one of them or 2 of them tend to let you down at the last minute, don't they? We've been there, haven't we?
Well, it's all about the deal, really.
Yeah, it
is.
is.
They're going to have time to pick their own deal and work their own due diligence out. So.
And the thing to remember is, you know, it may not be the deal that we do, we fund.
Yeah.
It may not be that deal, but it's a case of them coming up with something that, you know, they've found themselves and it's good enough to bring and show on TV. I mean,
show us what they're made of.
Show us what they're made of. So thank you both very much. And Z, thank you very much as well as, you know, thank you. And let's see what happens in the final. Exciting times.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
So we have our 3 finalists for next week's episode of Property Graduate called The Deal. Victoria, Molly and Elise are all in with a chance, but who will present the best deal and become John's new business partner, receiving up to £1 million for their next property deal? Who will be made Property Graduate 2023? Find out next week.
Property Graduate is proudly sponsored by Surtax Accounting.